My commentaries exist to provide critique and potential entertainment to those who find me funny. Nothing in my commentary should be taken as an attack, considering that isn't my intention. As for anybody else watching, the link for the source is only for checking the source material, and either catching anything I potentially missed or got wrong. Don't go there to be a dick. That's not okay. Anywhere.
I love memes.
Hey, you want a collab?
Sure.
Wait, you agreed to a random co-op commentary just like that?
Zenny, I'm usually the random one. I know random. Plus, I just got back from shopping, picked up some slightly aged commentary material, and I think it could work.
Okay, dibs on Spike.
Well, that's fine and dandy for you, but I don't have an MLP avatar. Why the fuck am I a Cadence?
Didn't you say you know random?
Don't freaking use my own logic against me, you Dragon Tales motherfucker!
It's easy to talk about MLP positively, but it's more fun to be me.
Well, dog my camels! And here I thought the phrase synonymous with the brony fandom was love and tolerate. Well, time to rethink a whole 4 years of my life. Young me, your life is a lie! Accept it, nerd! Okay, what did I miss? Another barrage?
So if he was over there, then who was that?
Friendship is Magic has some great characters, however nestled beneath its cast are some absolute stinkers. Characters that I hate to see on screen, whose personalities and dialogue drive me absolutely insane. And after doing a top 10 favourite characters countdown a few years ago, I thought it would be great to examine the other side of the coin.
This is a small issue that will grow later as we go on, namely the title. Notice how it's titled as a worst characters list rather than as a hated characters list. This is kind of a misnomer, as the two terms are quite different from each other while also being similar, namely in the fact that hated characters comes off as more subjective, whereas worst characters implies objective quality.
The only criteria for this list is that I can put a character on it if they've got a prominent speaking role in at least one episode. Also, due to some loophole that I'm not at liberty to divulge, I can include pairs and groups as one entry.
We start this countdown by talking about hate sinks, characters who are written with the sole purpose of getting on our nerves, so when the heroes defeat them, we are uproariously happy. A prime example of one is Garble, the jock despite socially awkward nerd in this tale of Dragon's social hierarchy, showcasing himself as a self-obsessed bully with a cocky demeanour and having a desire for proper social standing that he doesn't entirely deserve. He was a hate sink personified, built to look tall only for Spike to push him down. However, in Season 2's Dragon Quest, he didn't get pushed down completely, as he made his return in Season 6's Gauntlet of Fire 4 years later. However, it proved to make him even worse, but in a seemingly good way for his development. He threatened to burn Equestria to the ground and implied pony genocide. That is incredibly intriguing stuff. However, by the end of the episode, the hate sink trope really did catch up with him.
Way to belittle a potentially interesting recurring character by reducing him to hugging everyone he meets for all eternity.
The irony of the situation is this is his comeuppance for being such a bully towards Spike, especially considering how this piece isn't even the fault of Garble's character. For those who are out of the loop, basically all the dragons are competing to become the Dragon Lord, and Spike seizes the opportunity to drop a karma bomb on the stock bully Scaly Boy.
What? You? You have the scepter? But that means that you're...
the Dragon Lord. That's right. Now go start your long journey home, and give every dragon you see on the way a hug. Don't tell them why.
Aww, but that'll be super embarrassing.
I command you to do it.
Leave this.
Equestria is vast, with only a small amount of places within the world being shown so far. Some of them, though, hold pivotal roles in some characters' growth and episode narratives. Through this, we discover not just how these places are run, but how their residents act as well, and unusually that's a point of contention for me. Because for this spot, I'm not only putting the residents of Canterlot on here, but the residents of the Crystal Empire as well.
Yep. Guys! I thought this was a top 10, not a top 16 trillion, 14 billion, 12 million, 100,000 something or whatever the fuck.
How exactly could this be a well-ranked entry if you're putting several characters, and I use the term very loosely, in one singular spot? Especially since the majority of the Canterlot citizens and the Royal Guard, you know, don't speak very much at all. Which, wasn't this a piece of your criteria for the list?
And a lot of them don't even say much when they do have a speaking role. Freaking cameos have more screen time than Canterlot ponies and the guards combined.
While that may seem far-fetched and ridiculous to comprehend, remember what I said in the intro. Plus, the prospect of throwing the people of both of these important locations into the mud was too good one to turn down. You know why? Because they both have terrible people living within their walls!
The residents of the Crystal Empire, after being gone for millennia, came out of their frozen state as greedy, judgmental and ignorant people who rarely represent the love that their icon and princess preach.
CC? Where were the Crystal Empire residents shown to be greedy or judgmental? Coming out of their millennial sleep, the Crystal Ponies seem to be literally devoid of their love due to it being from their perspective, being only a blur of Sombra's rule, meaning they wouldn't exactly be the liveliest / lovey-dovey ponies to the princess they would soon be under the rule of.
And that's ignoring how one's followers don't have to copy their leader in any way. Good morrow, fanbase of insert popular name. How art thou in this pleasant day?
I'm Pickle Rick! What beloved dum-dum!
Let me just remind you people that at least Yokai Watch doesn't get backlash.
You guys are the ones that ruined Sonic for everyone!
Begone, you filth!
The residents of Canterlot are just as bad, being equally as judgmental, snobbish and socially restrictive, not being fit for the inclusive and open royal castle that makes them the capital of this world. In all the episodes that these places are showcased, these background and occasional supporting characters leave me with a very, very bad taste in my mouth.
Oh boy, does this point make me wanna die, as per usual. I need a therapist. So while the base personality is true for most of the ponies in Canterlot, what about the ponies who, you know, aren't like that and get actual focus in the story? Hell, you even show a few in your video. First off, Sassy Saddles, who doesn't seem to act snobbish in the way you described. More so, she's just overzealous with her planning that she can completely forget how it affects the talent. Also, there are characters like Sunburst, who also isn't shown to be greedy, with his main residence in the Crystal Empire, namely in his character excelling in studies on magic, to where his help has actually protected the Crystal Empire, namely in the Flurry Heart situation. There's also Fancy Pants of Canterlot, who is able to keep his manners that his mummy taught him with a cool head, while not acting snobbish about Twilight's crew crashing his party.
It just occurred to me, Fancy Pants doesn't wear pants.
Was that really all you got for my tirade?
That and how sour these cherries are.
The royals in Equestria have been omnipresent staples of this series' storytelling since the first episode. They are linchpins for the morals of the show, and in some cases are quite complex characters to watch. As the song adequately states, you're a princess, you'll play your part. However, there is one question I have to ponder. What part does Princess Cadence play exactly?
In the bed?
But Zanny, it's a kid's show!
No, it's PG-13. Just be glad it's not really happening. Or is it? Yeah, it's not. I'm straight. Don't even... Never do that. Never ship. Freaking Nick.
Sunbutt raises the sun and is the future-foreseeing god of the universe. Moonbutt raises the moon and through dream visions helps guide lost souls on their way. Starbutt encourages togetherness and friendship through diplomacy and learning. As for Heartbutt, she rules an empire of love and forces love on people who are fighting with each other? What?
Implying those two in the last clip weren't in a relationship, no pony in that scene ever hinted to them not being a couple, except for they were bickering, which plenty of couples tend to do.
She's in charge of an empire that, as I showcased in the last entry, are anything but loving and compassionate, which is a sublime conflict of interest, especially when you consider that it took royal approval to make them forcibly love a changeling.
Implying that's what she said, Cadence didn't force her subjects to love a changeling, she wanted them to hashtag Black Bug Horses Matter.
Yeah, it's not like she's saying, hey kumquats, like this pony, or hey you, go f*** your cousin.
No.
Princess of Love, bitch.
She oversees an important kingdom, yes, but she does little else. Sure, we dealt with her wedding being sabotaged by a love-leeching parasite, but the real her did precious little to help with the cause.
No, that's wrong! Excuse me, but Cadence is a third of the reason that situation even got resolved.
Cadence and Shining Armor were essential to fending off the changelings with thus protecting Canterlot. You know what Cadence is in charge of? That's right, protecting and aiding every pony with...
We watched her kingdom and Equestria be defended without her, and showcased her solely as a character who exists as a metaphorical presence rather than a literal one. Even her husband, Shining Armor, a character who's been perceived as a stressed-out, overly excitable idiot, gets more out of the show than Cadence does. All Cadence has to show for herself is that adorable but shape of Twilight, her part in some sublime musical numbers, and being a plot device for episodes she barely contributes to, doing most of it with a forced smile on her face. And while Twilight has issues with being a princess in Twilight's kingdom, which are worthy of examination, I think that Cadence should be asking herself the same questions. It is easy to understand why she's liked by the fandom. She's cute, has a nice appearance, and she's got a good moral compass to match.
But the thing is, based on what I've seen in this show throughout its running, she is the mere shell of what a royal in Equestria is capable of, and that is just wasted opportunities for a character who should be a lot more interesting than what we actually have.
I just realized something. What has Celestia and Luna done to have a higher pedestal than Cadence that didn't involve a giant rock or a big ball of gas? The princesses haven't been seen fighting villains very often, and whenever they do, they easily lose or need help from the main six. That includes Cadence. If anything, all three should have the same amount of responsibility.
Maybe she was just a merchandising opportunity after all. You be the judge. I hate the Apple family. Don't get me wrong, the core bunch have their moments, and in one Pink Ribbon case is a favourite of mine, but their family as a whole are full of characters who are, well, just irritating. Thankfully, we haven't had a lot of time dedicated to them, which cannot be said for Braeburn, as he's the worst without a doubt.
Hey, if you don't believe me, if anyone makes this kind of face, you know you're in for a rough time.
Yes, because a subjectively creepy smile when in context is the sight of a family member he hasn't seen in a while equals sans Undertale.
God fucking damn it, Cuspy. This is why I got that restraining order in the first place.
Rest in spaghetti, we all ready for Getty.
Legal authority is dead.
He comes across as judgmental, argumentative, and egotistical to the point where him appearing now doesn't conjure up any good things. He's slowly turned into an antagonist more than a likable member of the family, which makes my hate feel justified. Over the Barrel highlighted these negative traits, Appaloosa's Most Wanted inflated them, and in Buckball season, well, he's just a competitive bastard who can't accept defeat. There really isn't much more that I can say about Braeburn, really. He deserves the place on the list, and it really doesn't need much more explaining.
Insert a John Cena meme here, because context, por favor! I can't see it!
You can't see me!
Not exactly denying that it's there, but you don't exactly explain this with the footage, so it can be kind of difficult for any audience member of yours to understand what you're trying to convey here.
I know many of you are going to be very irritated by this next pick. Then again, it's my list, so you know where you can take your opinion and shove it.
I shall guard this onion with my life, and if any dare to challenge it with reasoning and analysis, well, I assure you, they can shove it up their mouth.
But Pcuspard, onions are supposed to have layers. Also, the medieval talk is my shtick.
Well, Zenny, that's life. Sometimes onions are ripe with layers. Other times, they're ripe with dead memes, like the It's Just My Opinion card.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is Rainbow Dash. Now, here is the character that first drew my ire. Season 1 highlights exactly why Rainbow Dash has for the longest time been one of my most hated characters. As the tomboy of the main six, she showcased crass disregard for her friends' feelings, an egotistical demeanour, and so much confidence that it would often be her downfall. Every time she was on screen, she'd be in your face, making you want to likely punch her. And when you add the idea of her being impervious to punishment most of the time, it just makes the concept of her being likeable in any way simply unfathomable.
Sure, she was punished by the Wonderbolts for reckless behaviour, but before Season 6, she got away with so many arrestable crimes, it is frankly ridiculous. She caused a building structure to fall so she could save someone to buff up her own ego.
Rainbow Dash didn't cause the structure to break in the first place. The point where she started wanting to show her heroism was through menial tasks, such as opening a can of peanut butter and mowing a lawn for attention. noticeably not putting any pony in harm's way. So major oof on your part there, CC.
She broke into Ponyville Hospital to steal a book because of social anxiety problems, and finally, she blew up Cloudsdale's weather station to stop her turtle from hibernating. If you did that in real life, you'd be in prison for sure.
Yeah, too bad there's no say on what the law is in Equestria. So adding in this point in real life scenarios doesn't really do much in the respects of a character in Equestria.
Even if Rainbow Dash was punished, it's not mandatory to show that on screen, and it'd also be redundant and boring. This is a kids show we're talking about.
What is wrong with Equestria where they can't use the rule of law effectively? As a result, when I see Scootaloo praise such a horrible role model, it really doesn't paint her in the best light.
However, saying that though, Rainbow Dash does have some redeeming qualities.
Wait, pause. What number are we at?
Number 6.
This presents a problem. It's fine to talk about positives in a negative countdown like this one, but there's usually some form of consistency to it.
Especially considering the massive negativity on your number 9 entry, sort of making it a contrast between the entries.
I know I'm going to get some hate for this, but I do not care.
It's not like mentioning you're gonna get spammed with dislikes won't exactly stop it from happening.
I feel like that horse has been beaten enough.
Leafy's dead and Idubbbz killed his career.
I hate Treehugger. While I don't mind hippie characters as they can be creatively written if done right, I can draw the line at one being the walking billboard of a cliched stereotype of the entire subculture. It's just benign and quite irritating to watch. She exists primarily to stir an antagonistic plot that didn't even need to exist to begin with. Hell, she's the antagonist. Treehugger is the antagonist of this episode.
But she isn't being treated like one, allowing for the reformed Discord to play that role.
Okay, so from what I'm getting from this is that Treehugger is an antagonist who just doesn't act like one, causing Discord to take up a more villainous role even though he's the protagonist. Sorry if I don't see a problem here, since antagonists, you know, aren't always big jerky jerks all the time. They're just someone who goes against the protagonist.
I'd argue she did her role well as an antagonist. Treehugger's purpose in her debut episode is to make Discord jealous, which is the main conflict in this episode. If she were to be a bad antagonist, the conflict would be weakened and Discord's reactions wouldn't feel justified.
Okay, were you finished? Now what? Well, we've got to figure something out.
Oh, I know. All we gotta do is...
Oh, come on!